YouTube! Welcome to the quarter year update. Welcome to Fantasy Football Perspective. I'm your host, Lucas. I got 4 special guests with me today. I got both halves of the Legacy lineup on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Ren Lawwell and Jimmy Barnett. I have Cincinnati Bengals superfan Nick Beatty, and I have fellow Cleveland Browns superfan Taylor Scarberry here for that quarter year update. How y'all doing today?
Doing good, man.
Doing all
Great.
right.
Doing well.
Love it.
Fantastic.
I appreciate you guys all joining me tonight to get this quarter year update out there. Before we get started, if you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, please do for this content. I pump out 3 videos a week. Really grinding, trying to get that content out there. This is kind of a special video that we're going to do, 4 or 5 times throughout the year to give an update on the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cleveland Browns, and the Cincinnati Bengals. And I want to hear from the super fans themselves and the experts of their team, just what kind of direction the teams are heading in, and kind of their overall outlook on the team so far. So, without further ado, let's jump into this real quick, boys and girls. We're going to start with the Cincinnati Bengals. I got some just quick stats I'm going to read off, then we'll let Nick have the floor. Bengals, previous 4 games. Vikings win 27-24. Bears loss 2017. Steelers win 24-10. Jaguars 24-21 win. Next 4 opponents: Packers, Lions, Ravens. For some reason, I only wrote 3 of their opponents. Got Burrow having a pretty good season, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, taking 11 sacks, 72.9 completion percentage. Jamar Chase, 74.4 yards a game with 4 touchdowns. T. Higgins injured. Tyler Boyd's been Mr. Reliable in the reception department. Joe Mixon has looked good so far, and their defense has looked spectacular. Standout Logan Wilson, linebacker, with 40 tackles and 3 interceptions. Mr. Nick, let's go ahead and get into this real quick. They have 4 tough games coming up. What is your prediction on their next 4 games?
Well, that 4th game will be the Jets. So
Okay,
you got Lions and Jets in there. So at least 2 wins. This next week with Green Bay is going to tell you what type of team they really are. Green Bay won't have their, Pro Bowl cornerback. So that may skew things a bit. We'll see. I expect a shootout, honestly, unless weather doesn't affect for some crazy reason. It's not supposed to, but it's Ohio.
Welcome to Ohio.
I know. So, but they'll kind of tell you if they're for real or not. Because anytime any of the AFC North teams play each other, you have a team that should win, but then it doesn't mean a thing because they all hate each other. So, I think there's at least 2 wins with Detroit and the Jets, but Sunday will tell me a lot.
How surprised have you been this year with the emergence of Jamar Chase? I know he didn't look very good in the preseason. To come on this strong, 4 TDs, 4 games. What do you have to say about that? And was this
It's
expected?
awesome.
Yeah.
It's I got a stat here for you. This is wild. Let me pull it up. So Joe Burrow, like last year on 20+ yard throws, had a 61.5 PFF grade. That was 34th. We had 1 touchdown and a 50.8 passer rating.
Yikes.
That was through the 10 games before his injury. This year already, 90.7 PFF grade. That's tied for 10th. 3 touchdowns and 128.5 passer rating. And that's just on 20+ yard throws.
Oh,
So, I mean, he's added a dynamic that I tried to say from the beginning. I was big on him and Frank Pollock, the O-line coach, drastically improving the O-line. When teams realized that the Bengals receivers couldn't separate at all, you could load the box. You could bring 5, 6, 7 guys, and it didn't matter because you knew, they may get one to Boyd and slide. They may get one to T. Higgins because he's 6'4", but you could blitz all day long, aka Browns and Ravens last year. every game.
Yeah.
Fun.
They have looked completely different this year on the offensive end, look explosive. And I'm excited to see, as the competition ramps up a little bit, how they look as well. Not meaning to cut you off, but I do want to get through everybody, and I want everyone to have about 4 or 5 minutes to talk, but we'll bring it back to you for some other statistics. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Previous 4, Bills win 23-16, Raiders loss 26-17, Bengals lost 24-10, Packers lost 27-17. Next 4, Broncos, Seahawks, Browns, Bears. Ben has 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 64.1 percentage on 170 attempts. Deontay Johnson, 77.7 yards per game, 2 touchdowns. Chase Claypool, 70.3 yards per game, 0 touchdowns. Najee Harris leading the team in receptions, 26 receptions, 1 receiving touchdown, 46.3 yards a game running, 1 touchdown. Defense is still great. Joe Sherbert leading the team in tackles with 29. All right, Jimmy, we'll start you off with kind of the same question. What's your prediction on their next four games?
Loss. And I'm being honest, I just don't offense is still really bad. Najee, there's nobody to run behind on the offensive line. Ben's touch seems to be gone. It doesn't look like he has the touch he had 5 years ago. That's slowly been happening. Just an aged at the quarterback position, got some young guys at the other positions. So I just think it's going to take some time to rebuild. I mean, they may win some of those games, but I guess I was expecting Ben to come in and look a little different, but it is what it is.
Yeah, the defense is still elite. I know you told me at the beginning of the year you weren't a big fan of Deontay Johnson. Has he changed your mind at all? I'm very curious about that.
I definitely think he's good. He can get open down the field for sure. Mm-hmm. Last week Ben missed him and Juju deep. Just no touch. But yeah, DJ's good. I'm not saying he's not. He's just, I don't know. I like him, but yeah, he's probably between him. I think Claypool's still our best receiver, but Ben just hasn't been able to get him the ball. And I think last week he was actually out. Believe it or not, I only caught the second half of last week's game. So I'm just not real happy with, it's not fun to watch when, you can't run the football, and then that definitely takes away the passing game as well. So.
Yeah, I think offensive line was a big question mark going into the season that kind of shown its ugly face early on this year. Breaking news here on the fantasy football perspective. Did you guys see Jalen Smith just got cut by the Cowboys, in-season cut? That's pretty crazy. That's a big cut. We'll see what happens with that. Thanks, Jimmy. We'll get back to you in a second about some Steelers updates. Mr. Wren, going on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Previous 4 games, win 32-6 at the Falcons. 49ers lost 17-11. Cowboys lost 41-21. Chiefs lost 42-30. Next 4, Panthers, Buccaneers, Raiders, Lions. Hurts having a heck of a season so far. 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 66.2 percentage on 145 attempts. Also averaging 56.5 rushing yards a game and has a TD on the ground. Devontae Smith, the rookie, 59.3 yards per game and a touchdown. Quez, surprise, Watkins, 54.8 yards per game. Dallas Goedert and that 2-headed tight end monster, 47.0 yards per game with 2 touchdowns. Mr. Alex Singleton, leading tackler with 38 tackles. Ren, what's your prediction on your next 4 games?
Well, we've got the Buccaneers. We've got the Raiders. We've got the Panthers. All 3 of those teams are very hot right now. So I expect those all 3 to be losses. And then we get the Lions. So I can see that coming off as a win. But, you mentioned Jalen Hurts. He's top 8 in the league right now as far as passing yards go. That's a surprise because, knowing him in college, he was more of a dual threat guy. Didn't really see him throw the ball around a lot in college. But it seems like Sirianni wants him to be that, pocket passer guy that they throw the ball, I'd say 70% of the time. Miles Sanders not getting any touches. I think in the Dallas game, he had 2 touches in the entire game. Mm-hmm. One of them was a 25-yard run in the first quarter, and then he didn't see the ball again until the end of the game. So that's kind of surprising to me. It's kind of a continuation of what Doug Peterson was doing with Miles Sanders. But they have had some injuries on the offensive line. They've lost 3 guys already this season on the offensive line with Brandon Brooks. They lost Samalu, their left guard, and then Lane Johnson went out last week. So you got 3 guys trying to step up. It was a tough game last week, kind of a back and forth scoring affair with the Chiefs. And you know that if you don't put touchdowns on the board against the Chiefs, you probably don't have a shot. So they got in the red zone and weren't unable to score. They got in the red zone, I think 6 times. They only scored 3 times. So anytime you do that against the Chiefs, they're pretty proficient in the red zone. So they're going to knock you off. But yeah, this next 3 games, man, talk about a gauntlet for the Eagles. I mean, I think I told you in the first video we did, I thought 6-11 was kind of where I was thinking they'd finish. But at this point, you know, in the next 3 games, you could be 2-6. So going to be a tough road ahead for Philadelphia for sure.
Yep. Seeing Kenneth Gainwell come onto the scene a little bit, he looks pretty explosive out of the running back position in place of Miles Sanders.
He's got more touches too than Sanders has. So it's kind of an odd strategy offensively for them. Typically, you know, when they had their success in 2018, they were a running football team, run first. You know, with Carson Wentz for the most part of the year, and then Nick Foles came in at the end. But they had a couple of running backs like Garrett Blount, Corey Clement. Those guys really kind of, you know, took the show over for them, and they were able to run the ball and get some hard-fought yards. But, you know, now it's more of a spread it out and throw the ball around all game. So I'm not sure what to expect with that in the future.
All right. I like your update. We'll get back to you in a second with more Eagles updates. Mr. T-Scar down there, bottom left, Browns superfan. Previous 4, Chiefs lost 33-29. Texans win 31-21. Bears win 26-6. Vikings win 14-7. Next 4, Chargers, Cardinals, Broncos, Steelers. Baker, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions, 65.5% completion percentage on 113 attempts, 12 sacks this year. Nick Chubb, 90.5 yards per game, 3 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt, 58.5 yards per game, 3 touchdowns. Also getting 30.3 yards per game receiving and leads the team with 12 receptions. Odell just came back from injury. Jarvis out with injury. Defense has been insane the last 2 games. Myles Garrett, 6 sacks. And JOK, probably front runner so far for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Clowney finally getting to a quarterback with 2 sacks on the season. Mr. T-Scar, what is your prediction, you know, on the next 4 games? Pretty challenging 4 games, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. And I think when we did the preseason update or outlook or whatever, I think we were I think 3-1. I think that's what we said. If we could come out at 3-1, I mean, I think we're pretty happy with that. But yeah, I mean, watching the Chargers last night, it's going to be a tough one. Same with the Cardinals, man. I mean, next 4 games combined 10-6. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that includes the ones with the Steelers that are never, I mean, it doesn't matter what the record is, they're always going to play tough. Yeah, so I mean, there's teams, Chargers and Cardinals, those teams you're going to have to outscore. Obviously, after last week, that's something that definitely needs to be corrected. The defense, the thing is, though, I mean, to the defense to be where it's at now, only 4 games in the season, I think that's the one thing we said, you know, the defense can be much improved. And past 2 games, I mean, it's really showed. So, yeah, they're going to have to really step up, man. Pass rush is going to have to get there. I mean, Herbert and Murray, I mean, it's going to be a tough next 2 games. And Broncos, I mean, they got a good defense. And then, like I said, Steelers are always going to play tough.
Yeah, the Browns playing style is kind of hard to watch. The ball control style seems lack of explosion so far in the pass game. I hope that doesn't come to bite us, but I hope they start connecting on some of those deep passes. Thank you guys for your update so far. Any surprises on your team that's just, you know, completely out of left field that's just, you know, you're like, where did this guy come from? There seems to be that kind of player every single year on your team, offensively, defensively, that just kind of took you off guard. Nick, I'll start with you with the Bengals.
I will say Logan Wilson's play. I mean, I was expecting defense to be good. I wasn't expecting where they are. I was expecting Logan Wilson to actually be legit. It's insane. He's just around the ball all the time. Mm-hmm. He's like a ball hawk at a linebacker, that weird 5'2" bear that they seem to run.
Yeah.
So that's been my biggest surprise. And obviously I knew Jamar Chase was going to be good. I was not expecting that right off the bat. So
those two got you. Jimmy, what about you?
I think probably the biggest thing is how many snaps Najee Harris is getting. I mean, he's on the field almost every play. I think that's pretty surprising for me. And defensively, I think one of the biggest letdowns would be Minkah Fitzpatrick in the secondary. So I don't know. I mean, I just see some weakness there still at the cornerback safety position. So the defense is solid, but I think that's still a concern for Pittsburgh.
Nick, right back to you real quick. Is there anybody that, disappointed you that you thought was going to be better?
Who disappointed me? So far, I guess T, just because he's been hurt, and I guess Jamar's stolen the show. Like, I expected T, honestly, we both did, like T to be the guy, and then Jamar kind of to get in there because he's been off a year, but that has not been the case. I do want to see T be more involved. He's been the red zone guy, but nothing like in between the 20s. He's outside the 20s, so it's kind of odd. But I don't like Zach Taylor's play calling, but that's another conversation.
Gotcha. Ren, what about you? Any good surprises or disappointments so far in the Philadelphia Eagles?
You mentioned Kenneth Gainwell already, a guy that they drafted in the 4th round. He's been pretty good. I'm most surprised with Jalen Hurts' play, honestly. I mean, he's, like I said, he's top 8 in passing yards. I think in completion percentage, he's top 15, something like that. So for a guy like I said that struggled in college, pretty impressed with that for him so far. But then defensively, a guy that's kind of been a letdown, and it's a guy that's been a stud for many years. It's Fletcher Cox. He's watching him get pushed around a little bit, something I'm not used to seeing. He's got 5 tackles on the season total and no sacks, and it's not typical of him to play that way. So a guy that I've seen be so dominant for the last 10, 12 years is kind of fallen off a little bit. I think he may be getting towards the end of his career here.
T-Scar, same question to you with the Cleveland Browns.
Yes, a surprise. I mean, I don't know. Not a whole lot of surprises, I guess. The defense, I think like I mentioned, I think we knew the potential was there. But it was like, hey, how long is it going to take for everybody to get the chemistry down, get everything? I mean, with Clowney's getting after the passer. Malik McDowell. I mean, he was like we said in the preseason outlook. I mean, it's the guy that came in for a tryout. Made the 90-man roster or whatever, and then dominated preseason. Is playing well so far. Grant Delpit stepped in. I mean, he had to with some injuries. He stepped in, played a lot, especially on this past Sunday. Coming off an injury, I mean, he's playing really well. JOK, I mean, like I said, knew the potential was there, man, but it's already playing the way he is. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Disappointments. I think it's just the lack, like we said, kind of the lack of explosive plays. And I mean, I think it's going to come. I mean, Odell was out the first 2 games. Didn't play in preseason. Jarvis has been hurt. So it's just getting that whole unit together. I think it's going to improve as the season goes on. It's like you said, I mean, you look at the target share. I mean, I think Kareem Hunt's our leading receiver as far as targets and receptions goes. I mean, I don't know. It's not what you want. I mean, the tight ends, the tight ends are always going to be involved. But, like I said, you've got to put up points. I mean, and that's going to come from just those explosive plays. And I mean, it's not necessarily the play calling, I don't think. It's just, I don't know. It all just kind of come together.
Yeah. I've been very disappointed in our left tackle, Jedrick Wills. I expected him to take a big stride. I know he's hurt or whatever, but sometimes he just doesn't even look like he's trying. Those guys just beating him off the block. But let's get down to some nitty-gritty questions. Let's spice this up a little bit here on the Fantasy Football Perspective quarter-year update. I want to ask, the innocent bystander here, not part of our conference, our division. Mr. Wren, can you rank the 4 quarterbacks in our AFC North order from worst to best?
Oof.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, buddy. I don't care. I wanted to get some stuff going in here.
Are we talking about
just
most
right
talent?
Just right now, you're starting a franchise. Who you taking?
Oh, if I'm starting a franchise, definitely number 1 is Joe Burrow, for sure. Number 2 for me is probably Lamar Jackson. And then I'm going to go Baker, then Ben, obviously. Sorry, Ben. But, I mean, he's 40 years old now. So, but yeah, Joe Burrow for sure, number 1. I mean, the way he plays, the confidence he has. And in that division right now, I don't think it's matched. I mean, I know Lamar Jackson has probably the most athleticism of any quarterback in that division, but I think the way Joe Burrow translates to the field, he's number 1 for sure. You disagree with that?
No, I just want to hear someone else's answer. Jimmy, go ahead. Same thing with you. Is yours the same?
Yeah, same order for me. I would say definitely Burrow and Lamar, and then Baker and Ben.
Nick?
You know my answer.
Same.
Yeah,
all right,
you know my answer.
T-Scar, defend our honor, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's this very moment. I mean, if you want guys that have, current status and guys that have proven it, I mean, I'm going Baker, Burrow, Ben, and I'm not sure who's the quarterback. Did Ravens have a quarterback? They have a running back. I know they have a couple running backs. But, so those are my 3 right there. Wish we had a Ravens fan on here.
Get that going a little bit.
Talking to a wall here.
Yeah, well, I like it though.
Yeah, that's my 3.
Okay. Let's go to Jimmy. Here's a question. First team out of this group, who's going to be the next Super Bowl winner out of this group of fans?
Oh, I would probably have to say Cleveland would be my guess. I would say Cleveland. I don't think Cincinnati will ever win one, but I don't know. I don't know. Cleveland would be the next one to win.
All right. T-Scar, what's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, most realistic, I would say Cleveland. I mean, they have the roster, they have everything on paper. Just got to prove it. Mr.
Nick?
Cincinnati's cursed. I mean, I'd love to say Cincinnati. I'm going to say Cincinnati, but I really don't believe it. When it comes to the Browns, though, I mean, it's obviously biased, like against you guys, but just it reminds me a lot. Like the talent's there, the roster's there. So you guys are talking about the explosiveness. With OBJ and Baker on the field, man, it's a cancer, and I don't know why. OBJ turns Baker almost into just a cocky Andy Dalton, like a game manager that can run a little bit.
I agree 100% with that comment.
When Odell's not on the field and they have less wide receiver talent, Baker's, I would agree with almost Scar, like that. Baker's proven it. He's good. He has some of that it factor, ice in his veins type deal. I don't think he will make a throw like Joe Burrow can, but he would make a play.
I actually agree with you. I'm a big advocate against Baker and Odell together because for whatever reason, he locks onto Odell from the snap. That's his first read every single time. And I don't know if it's something – I don't know. I don't know if they got into arguments behind the scenes or something, and he
doesn't want to make him mad, man.
It does seem like that, but that's just weird because he doesn't do that with anybody else. Ren, what about you? What's your answer?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is Cleveland's set up right now to win, more so than any of the rest of our teams, I think. But I don't know, man. If the Steelers can get a quarterback, they have the tradition. I think they could win next. I don't think the Eagles are in any position to win anything. I think the Bengals, they're better. They're better than they were last year. They're continuing to improve. And I think Joe Burrow could be a guy that I could see winning a Super Bowl eventually. But I'd say, yeah, Cleveland, I think, is the closest to winning one with the talent they have right now. And then if the Steelers could get a quarterback, man, Najee Harris, some talented receivers, a good defense, that's all it takes sometimes. So
yeah.
Imagine if Aaron Rodgers decides to go to Pittsburgh next year. What then? Who's your pick?
Watson? They trade
for Deshaun Watson, yeah, for sure.
That's a scary thought. I don't want to think about that.
Because a lot of times, I think it's about organization. A lot of times, I think it's about organization, right? I mean, I think the organization has a lot to do with the team that wins it. Unless you're Tom Brady and you just pick where you go and win one. So,
bouncing back to T-Scar, will you kind of give me your perspective. That's right, Joe. I said perspective. Perspective on the Odell Baker Mayfield connection. What it's been like this for 2.5 years. I've been outspoken about this as a fan. What's going on? Like, do you see that as a fan, or what's your personal take on that?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers back it up. I mean, his completion percentage, QBR, all that stuff. I mean, it backs it up. When Odell's on the field, it's just he doesn't play as well. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you can't say having Odell off, not playing with Odell makes you better. Like it doesn't make sense. But like I said, the numbers and the eye test, it backs it up. So the reason I don't know. I think he's trying to be perfect. Like I said, he's at least so far, last game he didn't. It's not like he's force feeding him or anything. Kind of how it looked like he just was literally missing throws. I mean, he made good reads. Like we were saying, like Odell, he could have gone. He just hits a couple throws and he could have gone 5 for 150. You know what I mean? And it was a 35-7 game. Very easily could have been. So it's like I don't know. He's trying to be perfect. But I mean that's why we didn't pay. Baker $40 million a year over the offseason. He's got to prove it. So I mean, until he gets that, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's hard
do you guys want him to resign personally?
Yes, I do. I want him to resign and Baker
sure.
and Odell to go. I think that's the decision I would make as a fan. Just seeing it over, because I've seen Baker deliver, clutch throws. I mean, we saw it in Cincinnati last year. That dude was throwing dimes, 25 straight completions. And it sucks. I hate seeing the offense revert back to that, and it scares me. The more and more it goes with Odell, I saw more of it in the Vikings game. But then I just keep thinking back to last year when we played the Cowboys on the road, and we put up 50 points with Odell, Jarvis. Everything was flying on all cylinders. It was a crazy game. So I know we have that in us. We have 10-minute warning. I want to just get to some, nitty-gritty questions here. Ren, is Jalen Hurts a franchise QB for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Man, I don't know if I can answer that question yet. What we saw from him last year is only 7 games. So it didn't get really a good picture of what he's going to be. This year so far, though, I mean, he looks comfortable back there. He's staying in the pocket when he needs to. He's getting out when he, is under pressure. I like what I see from him, man. Honestly, I do. And I think he's a guy that is definitely a leader, a guy that can be the face of a franchise for sure with his personality. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see as the season progresses. I don't think I can answer that question now, but I could definitely see it for sure. I could see him being a franchise quarterback. He reminds me kind of Donovan McNabb a little bit early in his career, honestly. I know that's kind of a comparison that would be easy to make, but for sure.
Nick, at this point, I know Jamar's having a great season. Would you have gone back in time and maybe traded down a little bit for Rashawn Slater and picked up someone another receiver in the second round that could be doing a good job too?
Nope.
Still no?
Nope. No, what he does is truly we got to see it with the Jaguars. Teams finally were playing too deep, and that they should have fed Joe Mixon a little more. That's why I don't understand Zach's play calling. When they let Joe kind of dictate the second half, you saw what happened. When Zach Taylor's calling plays, it makes no sense. So Jamar being able to stretch the field makes everyone back up a little bit, and lets all that underneath stuff where Joe is the best at. Those 10 to 20-yard throws, that's where he excels. So I would not trade. I would not redo it at all.
Gotcha. Jimmy, we can all agree now that Ben's past his prime. He doesn't have the cannon. How long do you want to watch that until you want to see Haskins out there, Rudolph out there, someone else out there to see what they can do? Or you kind of just saying, screw it, let Ben play out his last season, then let's move on?
As much as I'd like to say that they'll throw, you've already seen what Rudolph can do. So I don't understand why you'd try to play him this year. If I was going to put anybody in, I'd do Haskins, just to see what he can do for, 4 or 5 weeks. I'd be happy with next week if they decided to make that decision.
What's Tommy Maddox doing?
Yeah, he's in my closet over here. I got his jersey. You guys want me to put it on?
Early batch.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I think next, I don't think they're going to – Tomlin came out today and said Ben's the quarterback of this football team. He gives us the best chance to win. They also said Mason Rudolph's the quarterback of this football team. He gives us the best chance to win. So Pittsburgh is a very loyal organization. They will stick to their guns and not go off of Ben. I imagine he'll be the quarterback for 17 games this year. Maybe, the last 2 he may not play or something if they're out of it. But I don't know. I love the guy. I mean, heck, he won 2 Super Bowls, went to 3. I mean, he's definitely one of my favorite players to ever wear a Steelers jersey. But, his time's passed. I mean, it happens to all of them.
If they move on from Ben, do they get rid of Mike Tomlin as well? Just do it all at once?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think Tomlin's more of the players coach kind of guy. He definitely, if you play for him, you love him. If you play against him, you hate him. He's one of those guys. I don't agree with everything Tomlin does, but, I'm not paid millions to coach the team either. So I don't know. I mean, that's a good question, though. We'll see. I mean, he ran off Antonio Brown and Le'Veon, and they didn't get their way. And Antonio's making something of it, but Le'Veon, I mean, he's probably working at McDonald's somewhere. So I don't know. Actually, I think he's on the Ravens, but I don't know.
Just got moved up. He's their 6th running back on their roster with 0 quarterbacks. It's kind of crazy. Will you tell Buck Souls to stop looking at me back there? I like the way.
Yeah, I will, man. He's moving around back here. I see him.
T-Scar, question of the day for the Cleveland Browns. What's Baker gonna get paid, man? I think we can all agree if they were cashing the check right now, I'm not paying him $40 million. I mean, somewhere between 20 and 30 probably. Is that kind of where your head's at?
Yeah, I mean, we can say, hey, you're worth 25 mil or maybe even 30 mil, but what Josh Allen got 45. All the guys in his quarterback class. Lamar's going to get paid. He's eventually going to get 4, or he still hasn't resigned yet, right? Mm-hmm. He'll get 40. Who am I missing? Who's the other one in that class? There's the only 3 that. Darnold.
Yeah,
Darnold would.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah, Rosen, Darnold. But no, I mean, if they're going to look at the most recent guys who got paid. What Dak get? Dak wanted what, 40, 45. They originally were only going to give him 30. Look, what did he end up getting? He got like 40. So, you can say he's only worth this, but you got to pay him. That seems to be the way it works.
We're kind of in an interesting time coming up where all the bad teams are going to have high draft picks for a quarterback. We're going to have some free agents, and there's really going to be nowhere to go. It's going to be weird. A lot of teams have their quarterback position figured out, or are in the 2nd year of a rookie contract. It's kind of strange. Does anyone have anything else they want to say to the Fantasy Football Perspective audience? We have 3 minutes and 50 seconds. The floor is yours.
I just want to know if Jimmy wants Duck Hodges back so he can quack at him again.
Hey, man. You never know. He might come in there and win a couple for us. I don't know. He looked decent for a game. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, though. They're good for like 1 quarter. Like Green Bay, they look good for like 5 minutes, 1 quarter. I don't know. And the Buffalo Bills, I mean, how did they beat Buffalo? Look at Buffalo's blowing everybody out now, and they beat Buffalo week 1. I mean, and they only won 1/2 of that game, really. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell what team you're going to see next week.
Yeah, you beat the hardest team on your schedule. Sorry.
I also want to know who the Browns fans see as their most challenging competition in the AFC, aside from the Chiefs. Is it the Bills? I mean, who's that other team in the AFC the Chargers, maybe?
Yeah, that West, man, the whole West. I mean, even the Raiders, I thought they didn't look that great last night, but I mean, that whole division's pretty good. I mean, Ravens are going to be tough, I think.
Is Derek Carr one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league? I think he's good.
I thought that until last night when I needed freaking, I don't know, a couple more points out of Waller, and he overthrew him there on that last drive. Looked like complete dog shit.
Yeah.
And can we curse on the perspective?
Just can't say the F word. I like the perspective.
I was pissed. I lost by half a point last night.
Well, Joey Bosa said he's soft. He said he curls up. Did you see that interview with Joey Bosa?
Yeah, I read that where they knew once when they could hit him that he would crumble or whatever.
Well,
I don't know. I kind of agree with that. Like he always seems to.
I'd be soft too if Joey Bosa was coming at me. I'd curl up too.
Me too, man. I'm kind of mad you don't have a duck head up there behind you, Jim, for Duck Hodges.
Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna take all this stuff down. I'm selling this house. I'm getting out of here.
Congrats on that, by the way. Good job.
Thank you.
Baby on the way up there in Jimmy Land. You ready, man?
5 weeks, man.
I love it.
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I got my house for sale. Don't know where we're going next. Yeah, I'm ready.
I love it. Good plan. Good plan. All right. I want to say thank you all for coming. We're at the minute warning. Again, Ren and Jimmy, Legacy Lineup, Apple Podcast, Spotify. T-Scar, our Browns fanatic. Nick Beatty, our Bengals fanatic. I appreciate you all for joining me for the quarter year update. We will check back in at the half year update. I hope you all have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below if you have any questions about our teams. And remember, this is our perspective. You guys have a great night. Peace!